approached 2 weeks ago if I would be part of this hearing. And I sort of blew it off because I didn't really understand what the hearing was about. I had other plans. But then another person who I had respect for briefed me more fully on what the hearing was about. And then I thought it would be an opportunity for me to spend 1 week, and of course preparation before the hearing, to become very knowledgeable about this subject, which is probably the most significant subject in our entire civilization.
A lot of friends in the Air Force. I won't criticize my friends. But the superior, their PSYOPs, I will criticize. Why do they do this? It's beyond my comprehension. They don't have to do this. The people want to know the truth. The young people want to, the young kids want to know the truth. Give them the truth.
We have been involved with projects in other countries to do this. I will tell you, however, that as they began to step into this, they were warned off by someone within the national security state saying, do not pursue this. And so we went to France about 3 years ago, and we had an expedition to actually make contact with these extraterrestrial civilizations. And the Admiral later informed us that the radar tracked objects that came over the site at between 100,000 and 200,000 kilometers an hour. Now, what is fascinating about this is that the French were not deterred from doing this project with us, but they have to date remained fairly quiet. There is therefore progress being made in other G7 countries.
Former Minister of Defense of Canada, and he believes that life forms from space exist and are present on Earth. It's great to have you with us on our show. Why do you say that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying over our heads?
Well, because I know that they are. They've been, as a matter of fact, they've been visiting our planet for thousands of years. And one of the cases that would interest you most, if you give me 2 or 3 minutes to answer, is during the Cold War in 1961, there were about 50 UFOs in formation flying south from Russia across Europe. And the Supreme Allied Commander was very concerned and about ready to press the panic button when they turned around and went back over the North Pole. So they decided to do an investigation. And they investigated for 3 years, and they decided that with absolute certainty that 4 different species at least, had been visiting this planet for thousands of years. So we have a long history of UFOs, and of course there's been a lot more activity in the last few decades since we invented the atomic bomb. And they're very concerned about that and the fact that we might use it again. And because the whole cosmos is a unity, and it affects not just us, but other people in the cosmos, they're very much afraid that we might be stupid enough to start using atomic weapons again, and this would be very bad for us and for them as well.
So no serious scientist has ever publicly confirmed evidence of an encounter with extraterrestrials. Why would scientists not confirm the facts if they exist?
I'm afraid they must go out of their way not to find out. Because if they did, even 10% of the amount of research I've done in the last 8 years, they would be as convinced as I am. I mean, they could do it even faster. Might take them a little longer when they didn't have a military background. There's just so much evidence. If anybody will take the time off to do a little bit of research and study. But people just are, some people are interested and will take the time, and the others just say, oh, it's just fantasy. This information is not, it is top secret in a way that the governments aren't talking about it. But if you listen to the whistleblowers and the people who have worked in the industry and who know what is going on, there is just a lot of information out there, and it doesn't take very long to get your hands on it.
Now, we know why the government's covering it up, because we have several smoking guns. And I'll give you one of them as an example. With the missile silos in Montana, the Dakotas, and one other state, Wyoming. Whenever there was one of these call them flying saucers, for lack of a better word, hovering above the silo, the missiles were unlaunchable.
Yes, we mentioned that in our introduction to the segment. And
well, I'll tell you right off the bat, the military would go bonkers over that, because what it shows is that after spending $1 trillion on this unbelievable defense system, when push comes to shove, it doesn't work. So obviously, they want to keep that secret. But the nature of the military in this country and the nature of those in power, the leaders, is that they have a perception totally towards secrecy and to keep things covered up. And that's very sad, because if we're to be an operating democracy, the people have to know what's going on.